So now moving on from select, if this is not good enough, or it's not visually appealing, so if we want to edit it or make it more visually appealing, what we can do is we can simply add a table HTML code before that, and we can echo individual things to get the data. So for example, if we had a name, email, and password, which you can access from the result variable. So normally, if you see, we'll be connecting with the pages when we'll be connecting with database, when we have to insert, when we have to update, when you have to delete. So it is a common practice to store the database connection in one file and then recall it. So for recalling, what you can do is you can use include or require. The difference between include and require is that if you are using require, and if the file is not found, it will give you a fatal error and it will stop you there. If you are using basically include, and if the file is not found, it will give you a warning and it will continue the execution. So if we want that, in this case, if the database file is not found, then it should crash, or it should give us proper error, because all other things are dependent on database. So if you want to do that, what you can do is if you can create a pdo.php file which contains the PHP code for the connection, and you can call it in the file and use the select query as we did previously. So now if you have to insert the data, so for example, if we have three fields, name, email, password, remember, we are not focusing on ID in insertion. Why is that? Because ID was auto increment. So something that was auto increment, we don't need to insert, it will automatically be added in the database. So for example, if you have name, email, password, the key things have to be remember is you have the name here. So if we have to recall this in PHP, we'll be using this name attribute. Here we have name, email, and password. So if you have to access the values of the database from a form, what you can do is you can use $_post. If the form method is post, you can use $_post. If the form method is get, you can use $_get. So this is just a small check to see whether whether we whether the values are inserted or not, because if the values are not inserted and the user is pressing select, what will happen, it will be inserting empty rows in the database. So what we need to do is we need to check whether the values are filled before entering it into the database. So for example, if we have here name, email, and password, this is our SQL query. If you know the format is such that insert into the table name, fields, values, and we have placeholder. In PDO, you prevent your database queries with the placeholder, so that no SQL injections take place. So for example, here we have this insert query, then we use PTO prepare, and then we execute and provide these placeholders values. So the values are stored in $_post name, email, and password. So that's how your data is going to insert. Let me just give you a recap of this. The first thing is you should know what is the method of your form. Why? Because if the method of form is post, then you are going to use $_post. If the method of the form is get, then you are using $_get. The key things in HTML form elements are name. You have to remember the name that you have given to the different fields, because this is how you are going to recall. The next step is, if when writing the code for the values, first you have to check whether these values are filled or not. Why? Because if the values are not filled and the user is pressing submit button or add new button without entering the data, it is going to insert empty rows in the database. So first you have to check that. And the query is a bit different from the normal queries. Here, instead of providing the actual values, what we provide placeholders, and after the placeholders you have PDO prepare SQL. So prepare is basically it converts or it removes extra indentation for SQL injections, and then we have execute, where you provide the actual values uh, from the from the forms. So that is $_post name, $_post email, $_post password. So this with this you can insert the data into your database. So now if you have to delete, remember we delete the record with the help of uh, primary keys. Why? Because if you are deleting the record with the name, for example, if the name Chuck, there can be multiple users with the name Chuck. So we normally use the delete keyword with the help of dollar with the help of primary key. So we created a simple form where you are going to provide the ID. Remember, we have to focus on this name because we are going to get the values from this name. Now, if you have to recall this, you can use dollar underscore post user ID. You get delete from user where user ID is this placeholder. Remember, this query will be a bit different. Why? Because we are not providing the actual values, we are using placeholder. Then we are using prepare, and then in execute we are providing the actual values. So this will create a form for delete, and upon clicking the delete, it will delete the relevant ID that you have given. So we'll discuss the edit in the next class, inshallah, that how you can use the edit block.